And I welcome you to our full council meeting. In view of the current COVID-19 pandemic, this will be a virtual meeting with remote attendance by councillors and remote access of press and public, and will be held in accordance with the provisions of the local authorities and police and crime panels, coronavirus, flexibility of local authority, and police and crime panel meetings, England and Wales, Regulations 2020. The first item on our agenda are declarations of interest. Do I have any, please?
Marion Barclay, I declare an interest in any item relating to transport as coordinator of FRIST.
Thank you, Councillor Barclay. Any other declarations, please?
Robert, this is Robert Diaz. On that basis, I also have an interest in transport, although I can't see anything specific on the agenda.
Thank you very much. Item 2 on our agenda is minutes of previous meetings. To confirm as a correct record of the minutes of the meetings of the Council of the Isles of Scilly held on the 27th of February this year. Has anybody any comments to make on those minutes, please?
Yes, Councillor Smith, just one thing to note on page 3. There was, on the planning application, there was a proposal to defer, and just to note that the vote isn't actually recorded there, whereas the vote for refusal was recorded. So I just wondered whether that needed to be clarified.
Okay, we'll note that. Thank you very much, Councillor Smith. Any other comments on the minutes, please? Okay, could I have a proposer for the adoption of those minutes and a seconder, please?
Councillor Mumford to propose.
Thank you.
Councillor Grottick seconded.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody against these minutes, please? No, then I'll take them as confirmed. Thank you very much. Item 3 on their agenda is Chairman's announcements. I have an announcement to make. We hold today's meeting of full Council of the Isles of Scilly in extraordinary times, an unprecedented crisis, and clearly the first time ever undertaken remotely by technology in view of our requirement for social distancing. I would like to thank all staff at our council and all our health and social care workers for their adaptation and commitment to keeping our services running effectively at this time and keeping our community safe. I would also like to thank our local Southwest Resilience Forum for their assistance in providing 2 Royal Naval officers to support our emergency planning team and for the provision of the Royal Navy helicopter evacuation as and when it may be required. We look forward with anticipation to when we will get guidelines from government in order that we can formulate our recovery plan. We will need to adhere to those guidelines and the advice from Public Health England in order to be able to find a balance between the need to get our children back to school and start to rescue our economy with the need to protect our community. I would also like to welcome our new Chief Executive, Paul Masters, who replaces our interim Chief Executive, Mark Bowden. We owe a huge debt of gratitude to Mark for his tenure of a year. Mark has kept a very firm hand on the tiller, and we are hugely grateful for his support, expertise and wisdom. He has done much for our island. We welcome Paul at a very difficult time, and we have great faith in Paul's experience, ability and expertise to pick up the reins and guide us through this period and out the other side and onwards. We look forward to when Paul can safely come to the islands and work from here instead of remotely. Finally, I would like to thank our whole community for the discipline you have displayed in giving up business income and family and social life at the present time. Please continue to stay home, protect the NHS and save lives. Only go outside for food, health reasons or work, but only if you cannot work from home. If you go out, stay 2 meters apart from other people at all times. Wash your hands as soon as you get home. Do not meet others, even friends or family, as you can spread the virus even if you don't have symptoms. It is a time of great concern and difficulty for us. However, we are showing signs of hope that we are starting to come out the other side. And I have confidence we will be able to rebuild before too long, and that life on Scilly will be able to return to happier times. Thank you. Item 4 on our agenda is questions under Standing Order 14. I have none. Item 5 on our agenda is to consider reports from committees, including the receipt of minutes and or draft minutes for information. I have none. Item 6 on our agenda is to consider motions in accordance with Standing Order 12. I have none. And item 7 on the agenda, urgent items. I have none. I'd like to move on to our Part 1 reports. Item 8 on our agenda, to consider the need to vary or amend any standing order to facilitate the conduct of a virtual meeting. Page 11 on your iPad. Stephen Taylor, our monitoring officer, will take this paper. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Morning, members. The report is as tabled. There are 2 decisions for you to make. The first one is to agree the changes to standing orders as set out in the report, and the second is related to the annual meeting, which is scheduled for the 12th of May. The first point to make, so far as standing orders is concerned, is that the coronavirus regulations supersede any current standing orders, so that, for example, whereas some councils say that there has to be specific requirements for attendance at meetings and things like that, well, they are overcome by the coronavirus regulations, which allow meetings to take place where not everyone is in the same place. Turning to actual changes put forward by the report, Isles of Scilly standing orders are generally actually quite not prescriptive. They give substantial discretion to the chairman. But there are some standing orders which need some amendment just for the sake of making it regular, and also they will last after the coronavirus period is over. They will be of general application. So the provisions with regard to voting, for example, you don't all need to be in the room, obviously. If there is a vote, then you can do this by roll call under the amendment, where the chairman just simply reads out the names of the members in attendance. It's not the same as recorded vote, because the way that people vote will not be recorded in the minutes. Just taking the vote by calling the names over. The Standing Order 23 is as stated. There's nothing particular to worry about that. And Standing Order 35 about declarations of interest. Again, just substitute leaving the meeting for leaving the chamber. And the way that you would do that would simply disconnect your connection if you have a substantial interest which required you to leave the chamber. And then you'll be contacted by the committee, either by email or how you want to do that in order to rejoin. So the recommendation is to amend the standing orders as detailed. So far as the second issue is concerned, the coronavirus regulations have made the provision that there does not need to be a annual meeting of the council in 2020. They have disapplied those provisions of the 1972 Act which require this. And in fact, the council can hold an annual meeting or not at its absolute discretion up until the 2021 annual meeting is due to be held. So the issue for you today is whether you wish the next annual meeting of the council scheduled for the 12th of May 2020 to go ahead. There is business to do. The normal point of an annual meeting is to make appointments. If you don't have an annual meeting, those appointments will continue by virtue of the regulations up until the 2021 annual meeting, so you don't actually need to have one. But if you do have one, you can just simply either say, yes, we do want changes to the appointments, or you could just simply have the list of current appointments tabled and just say, well, we will have no change for the time being. This other issue in relation to the annual meeting is, do you still want it being held on the 12th of May? That is a few days after the government will be deciding whether to extend the lockdown further from the 7th of May. So it could be argued it is quite a sensible time to have the meeting, but that is really a matter for you. That's all, Chairman, unless there are any questions.
Thank you, Stephen, very much for that. Before I go to councillors for questions and comments, could you please make sure that your phone is on mute if you're not speaking, please, as there is some background noise coming through. Thank you very much. First of all, Councillor Barclay, do you have anything, please?
Oh, hello. I'm sorry. I would support the idea that we defer any annual meeting until 2021.
You wish to defer the May meeting, do you?
Yes, I do. I feel that changing appointments at this time would be quite disruptive, and what we need above anything else is a smooth running of this authority, and I think that can be achieved best by keeping people in their current positions.
Thank you, Councillor Barclay, but I think we can deal with that if that is the wish of members. That still can be done. I am concerned that we will have planning applications, and as our monitoring officer pointed out, we may have further information on the 7th of May, which we wish to consider at that meeting. So if you're happy, the matter of continuing with the current responsibilities that we have in council can either be changed if members so wish, or it could be moved that they stay in place. So we can deal with your wish then, if that's okay.
Yes, fine, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Davis. Nothing from you, Councillor Davis, thank you. Councillor Dean.
Yeah, thanks, Robert. I agree with Marion. I don't see there's a case to change any of the appointments, but if we can do that in the annual meeting, then that's great. I don't see why we can't have another meeting and just sort that out then. But apart from that, no questions.
Thank you. Councillor Dorian Smith.
Yes, I'm in agreement, Robert, as far as the annual meeting is concerned. But just to be clear, are we still intending to meet on the 12th of May, albeit without the appointments?
Yes, that is the plan, because we've got planning applications to deal with, yes.
Well, in which case I would support just doing it as a normal meeting rather than suggesting changes.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Grottick.
Thank you, Chair. I would support holding the meeting on the 12th of May. I would also suggest that continuity right now is pretty important.
Thank you. Councillor Guy?
Yeah, I agree with all that's being said. I'd like to have the meeting on the 12th of May, but keep the status quo. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Legg?
Again, agree with what's been said. Continuity at this time is important, I believe.
Thank you. Councillor Marcus?
Yeah, just a question for Stephen. If we get back to some kind of normalcy before 2021, what effects do these standing orders have on a normal day-to-day running of the council meetings?
What, the changes that are put forward in the report?
Correct, yes.
None, because they have been generalised rather than made specific to a room. I've just put meeting instead, so they will be able to carry on. We don't need to change anything back.
Okay, so it gives us flexibility after normalcy returns as well.
Yes.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, I'm up for some continuity. And just aware that we will have planning applications that will need ratification. So that's fine. I'm happy with the proposals.
Thank you. Councillor Mumford?
Yes, I would be in agreement to hold the meeting on the 12th and to keep the continuity as well. But as you say, there might be planning applications which need to be dealt with. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Nellams?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, agree with Councillor Mumford's answer. Yes to meeting, yes to continuity.
Thank you. Councillor Roger?
Yes, I'm in agreement as well. Continuity and holding the meeting on the 12th.
Thank you. Councillor Sims?
Yes, I'm in accord.
Thank you. Councillor Smith?
Yes, I support the recommendations, and to speed things up, I'll propose them as well.
Thank you. Councillor Watt?
Yes, Chairman, full support given from me.
Thank you. And Councillor Williams?
Yes, concur with the majority of the other opinions on this matter.
Thank you. So could I please have a proposer, please, to take these four recommendations together, and that recommendation 3 will be that we hold the meeting on the 12th of May. Could I have a proposer and a seconder, please?
I'm happy to propose. It's Marion Barclay.
Thank you. And the seconder?
Yep, Councillor Smith.
Thank you. Are there anybody against any of these recommendations? Any abstentions? No. Well, thank you. I'll take that as passed. Thank you very much. The next item on our agenda, item 9, is the appointment of our interim chief executive and head of paid service. Page 15, if you've got a page number. This is in the hands of Senior Officer Tom Walton. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Chairman. There are two issues covered in this paper. The first relates to the appointment of a chief executive. The council meeting on the 24th of March 2020 was due to decide on the appointment of chief executive. The meeting was not able to proceed as it was not quorum. This was due to the consequences of the coronavirus outbreak. The decision was then taken by the chief executive in the post at the time, Mark Bowden, in accordance with Standing Order 34. In summary, there were two aspects to that decision. The first was that following the completion of the recent recruitment process, no permanent full-time appointment be made to the post of chief executive of the council. And the other side to it was that Paul Masters be appointed interim chief executive for an initial period of 6 months. So the first recommendation is that members endorse the actions taken by Mark Bowden under Standing Order 34, as set out in the decision note attached to this report. The second aspect to this report is to formalise the appointment of Paul Masters as head of paid service. That couldn't be carried out under Standing Order 34, so we're here today in part to decide on that. So the second recommendation is that members appoint Paul Masters as head of paid service, electoral registration officer, returning officer, and proper officer for various functions, including, for the purposes of the Local Government Act 1972, access to information, together with all functions as ascribed to the Chief Executive in the Council scheme of delegation. So it's just putting into place the formalisation of Paul as the head of paid service for the Council of the Isles of Scilly.
Thank you very much, Tom. So could I please ask if there are any questions from councillors, please. First of all, Councillor Barclay.
No questions, but I do support the proposal that he's given the post of head of paid service.
Thank you very much. Councillor Davis. No. Councillor Dean.
Yeah, happy with all that, and welcome, Paul. Sort of leapt into the deep end a bit here, but you're very welcome. Yeah, I'm happy to propose the recommendations.
Thank you. Councillor Dorian Smith.
Yes, I'm in full support, Robert.
Thank you. Councillor Grottick.
Full support as well, and welcome, Paul.
Councillor Guy.
Full support and welcome, Paul.
Councillor Legg.
Full support, welcome, Paul.
Councillor Marcus.
Yeah, full support again, welcome, Paul.
Thank you. Councillor Mumford.
Yes, full support, welcome, Paul.
Thank you. Councillor Nellams.
Yes, full support and hello, Paul.
Councillor Roger.
Yes, full support, and again, hello, Paul, and welcome.
Thank you. Councillor Sims.
Yeah, I'm completely in accord. Just one little point. Robert, perhaps you could go a bit closer to your phone because you're half the volume of everybody else.
Okay. Is that better?
That's loads better, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Smith.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I support this and really welcome Paul's expertise and experience here, so thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Watt.
Yes, Chairman, full support from me, particularly recommendation 2.
Thank you. And Councillor Williams.
Yes, fully support this, Robert.
Thank you. I have these two recommendations proposed by Councillor Dean. Could I have a seconder, please?
I second that, Councillor Mumford.
Thank you. Anybody against either of these recommendations, please? Any abstentions? No, I take it you're all in favour then. Thank you very much. So the next items on our agenda are item number 10 and 11, which will be taken together as the finance update is part of the coronavirus update in the hands of Senior Manager Nicola Stinson. Thank you, Nicola.
Thank you, Chairman, and morning members. This is a joint report that's been pulled together by Russell Asham, myself and Aisling Khan that summarises the current position in relation to this emergency. Prior to the major incident being declared by the Council on the 23rd of March, preparations were already well underway. So you recall we had an informal Council meeting on the 20th of March, but we'd already met with a number of agencies around the island to discuss business continuity. And in that, we'd identified a range of unanswered questions and issues that were yet to be resolved. The role of the local authority in emergency planning is greater than that of just managing the council functions. So essentially, our emergency planning role under the regulations requires to coordinate, collaborate and communicate. I'm getting echo on this line. Is everybody else getting echo on the line or not?
I can hear the echo, yes.
Yeah, I'm not sure why. I'll move my mobile phone away just in case that's causing a problem. Right, let's try that. So we've basically been coordinating the activities and collaborating with others and communicating with others across all agencies across the island. So what we're trying to do is manage the processes through a number of work streams, and in the report I've described those as cells. And that process centres around identifying risks and issues and putting mitigations in place. And escalation processes have been used where we haven't been able to solve those issues on the island. The process is working well at present. You'll notice that I've also looked at the council services that is a work cell that Ashton Khan's been running that's looked at how we've responded to government guidance and public health guidance in relation to the services that we're delivering for our community. What I will say is staff are responding incredibly well to changing circumstances and are working across services and across agencies, and that has become the norm over the last few weeks. There's been a tremendous amount of work put into communications, and the website is updated daily, together with daily sit reps for both staff and members being circulated separately as well. One of the key things we don't know the full implications in relation to at the moment, or our financial implications for the council, and Russell may well come in to discuss that with you. But we are monitoring our expenditure, we're monitoring our reduced income, but the full impact of this emergency won't be known for some time yet. The situation is very dynamic, and there will be many challenges yet ahead of us. So the preparations we've put in place have put us in a good position and as best a position as possible, considering the emergency that we're in. But the situation will change, and I think what the report seeks to do is give you the assurance that the governance and arrangements that are in place put us in as strong a position as possible in managing our response to this emergency. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Nicola. Russell, would you like to say anything and come in on this, please?
Thank you, Chair. I think set out in the report is the financial position that we know to date. As Nicola said, the full financial implications won't be known for some time. I think the real issue will be is how long we carry on with life not as normal. The costs to date are relatively minor and can be accommodated within the grant that the government has given us of about £100,000.
Full council meeting.
Oh, really? And so we should be able to accommodate the cost to date. The loss of income, again, it will depend on how long the restrictions carry on for, because obviously we will lose income for a period, whether if it's a prolonged period we probably won't be able to catch up.
Sorry, Russell, could I stop you there, please?
Do Friday night.
Could all members make sure that their phones are on mute, please?
But Friday and Thursday and Friday are.
Whichever councillor's talking.
There are two menus, one for Thursday and Friday, one for Saturday.
That's Ewan.
Thank you. Russell, please continue. I'm sorry about that.
That's all right. I mean, so we're down to the situation of how long it will continue for. Really will be the biggest driver on how much it will cost and what the full implications will be. Clearly set out in the report is the money that we received to date from the government. We received a direct grant of £100,000 to help fund additional costs. As I don't think we have spent anywhere near that much as yet on the costs of dealing with the emergency. Further money, while I'm on that, is promised by the government with an announcement at the weekend where they've announced nationally a similar sum, but they have yet to decide on how they're going to distribute that. So it's a wait and see how much we'll get out of that allocation. There's been additional business rate reliefs given to a whole range of businesses in the retail and hospitality sectors. And obviously the government have or will be recompensing us for those with further Section 31 grant. We've had business grant, which we've administered for the government of 4.2 million, which are grants payable to businesses, mostly dictated to by business rate information. And up until end of last week, about 78% of businesses have received a payment who are eligible under the criteria. The hardship fund was a relatively small allocation of just over £4,000. This is to help people that are in receipt of council tax support already in their household, and an extra £150 was given by central government to top up the support that they were already receiving, and that will be given in the form of a reduction in their bill. And homelessness, like to be zero for the council. There's a money allocated nationally, but the details of how they're allocating it, it's more on a bidding process, I think, at the moment. But as with all homelessness grants, City never get any of that because we haven't got any registered homeless people on the islands. Probably the only other thing is that there has been an approach to the Department of Transport with a consortium of the operators working with the Transport Board to get support for the Lifeline transport links. That has been successful. The Department of Transport have yet to announce this formally, so we're still waiting for the formal announcement, but we have received a sum of money which has been allocated to the various operators in accordance with the way the Department of Transport have allocated it to the local authority. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Russell. Paul Masters, please.
Thank you, Chairman. And first of all, can I thank members for their support in giving me the honour of being Chief Executive for the Council of the Isles of Scilly. I just wanted to add a couple of things really to Nicola and Russell's report. Is firstly to say that I think the daily communications that all members receive and staff receive is much better than I've seen in many, many other councils around the country, and I think communications is the key to all of that. Nicola referred to these meetings called cells, and just to let members know, the cells link very closely to mirror cells across the Cornwall and Isles of Scilly Local Resilience Forum, and that's really important in order that we can escalate needs for support both regionally and nationally as they come up. I think also I'd like to thank both councillors and staff for all of the preparations that have been carried out that have put the Scillies in the best place it can be ahead of this crisis that we're currently going through at the moment. I think the other things that I'm sure councillors are aware is Robert and I and Fran today also joined a 2-weekly call of the Cornwall and Isles Scilly Leadership Board, chaired by Councillor Julian German and all the local MPs, which again is an incredibly important meeting in order for us to get our points made to central government, and certainly is much stronger in its partnership than I observe in Devon, which is some way behind Cornwall and the Isles of Scilly in terms of distributing funds to business and our local communities. I'd also like to thank the Royal Navy for their support. I think adding that support to our emergency management team has been excellent and certainly has put us in a strong position. But I just urge all really that this is such a fast-moving situation that the advice we are receiving as officers can change daily, and you'll have seen that in the local news even yesterday in terms of PPE. So whilst we do our best to keep people up to date with communications, there are some times when, for good reason, we are just waiting for further clarity on points because each day things do change. So bear with us. But a big thank you to everything for all the support and leadership that you're providing the community.
Thank you very much. I'd like to ask councillors now to comment, please, or questions. Councillor Barclay.
Thank you, Chairman. With the grant or the funding from the GFT, which is proposed, do you know when we will know how much, and when will it be publicly announced? I have quite a few questions heading my way on this.
Russell, would you like to comment, please?
Yes, we're in terms of the announcement, we're in the hands of the Department of Transport. They've wanted to make the announcement for a number of days now, but I believe that the Minister, for some reason, wants to make the announcement on when he has his 5 o'clock slot, which he keeps being bumped out of, which is a bit frustrating because we can't make the announcement officially. We will have a sum that I hopefully will be able to pass on to the members once that announcement is made. It will be a total sum, and that's all that we will be releasing due to commercial confidentiality and how the calculations have been done for each of the individual operators.
Well, thank you for that. But I do hope the inter-island transport and the mainland links are clearly defined. And there was an announcement this week from government on big ferries, so I'm hoping we shall shortly follow.
Robert, this is Robert DS. As this is being discussed, I have an interest here. Not only was I part of the group, but also my businesses have been a beneficiary of the grant. So I think I'll step back now and declare an interest.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anything more?
Can I just say that unless there's some motion moved in relation to a specific item which affects Councillor Dorian Smith, that's just a declaration of interest rather than something that would require him to leave the meeting.
Well, thank you. In that case, I shall listen in.
Thank you. Is there any more from you, Marion, Councillor Barclay, or Russell on this, please?
Not on that particular issue, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Davis?
Are you getting me now, Robert?
I am, Councillor Davis, yes. You're loud and clear.
Sorry, Chairman, my mute button's a little ambiguous.
Don't worry. Would you like to say anything on the...
No, I'm in agreement with everything that's been said.
Thank you. Councillor Dean?
Yeah, thanks, Rob. Just to back up what Paul said, the communications, I think, has been excellent, both to us and to the public, which is brilliant. And the second thing was with the business grants. I've had 2 or 3 people come up to me and say how impressed they were with the efficient payment of those grants. So well done to Russell for that. But that's all. Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Dorian Smith, have you got anything further to ask, please?
No, thank you, Robert. A good meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Grottick?
Thank you, Chair. I've got 2 questions, please. The first one is just a simple comment that I'm sure Russell can quickly tell me. We have a group of effectively homeless seasonal workers at the moment, mostly being accommodated by the people they were coming to work for, which is very reassuring and very helpful. Would there be any benefit in actually registering them as technically homeless if there was a grant that we might have to ease their situation? That's my first question. So shall I wait for that first and then ask the second? So that's a question to Russell.
I don't know enough about the details, but I'll have a look into that. Usually most of the homeless money is allocated based on statistics of homeless people at a certain time when they do a count. But I'll have a look and see what the requirements are.
It's
see whether there is any.
Thank you.
Chairman, it's Nicola. Can I come in?
Nicola, would you like to come in?
Yeah, Russell's right. The homelessness payments are based on a rough sleep account, and as the Councillor Grottick just related to, they are not homeless. They have accommodation at the moment. So I think we have to look at other support. So I think we'll take that offline if they require other support. I don't think it's through the homelessness route. It might be through a hardship fund, but I don't think it's homelessness. I think that's the wrong route to take. But we can take that offline. It's a particular case we can pick up.
Thank you. Yeah, and my second comment, please, is that I was a little bit concerned with, wondered if it might be good to amend or slightly strengthen paragraph 12 of the report, where the last comment is to support business through grants, etc., and promote a return to business as usual at the earliest opportunity. I thought we might possibly soften that only when appropriate and safe to do so. But I think Councillor Sims might have a point later, so I'm quite happy to wait until his intervention. I did put forward to members an amended recommendation to strengthen the recommendation at the beginning of the report, which, although good, is quite brief, and I thought it might be helpful to everyone if we actually set out an agreed position of the Council at this moment in time in a little bit more depth, partly to reassure the community and have an agreed Council position at this very important and difficult time for us all. But I've had a lot of correspondence with members, both on the phone and through email traffic, and it's resulted in my original recommendation being substantially amended in response to members' requests. And the bulk of the last work has actually been done by Councillor Sims. So I'm going to leave it to him to propose the amended recommendation, and I am going to state, Mr. Chairman, please, that I will be happy to second Councillor Sims' amended recommendation.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Councillor Guy.
Yeah, nothing to add, Robert. Thank you for the meeting and all that's been said.
Thank you. Councillor Legg.
Thank you, Chair. I'd agree with what Councillor Grottick said, especially regarding the final bullet point of paragraph 12. I believe we need to just increase stress the importance of safeguarding the health of the island's residents. But again, I'll leave it to Councillor Sims for the exact wording.
Thank you. Councillor Marcus.
Thank you, Robert. I'd just like to say it's reassuring to hear Paul's comments on about how well he thinks the council is working as a unit. As an ex-employee, I know that the council is a really good organisation when it can be, and the staff are giving as much as they can and working really well together. It's really reassuring. As lead member for adults, I've had regular updates with Aisling and the team, which I've passed on to members. But I think it might be really useful for Aisling just to go through a couple of things just for the public record, and just to pay tribute to the amount of work and effort that the staff are putting in order to care for the clients in their care, just to make sure that they have a comfortable and as good a time as possible in this really challenging time, especially for some of our clients. So, Aisling, if you're there, could you explain how this challenge has had an effect on how you're managing safeguarding in the community and the effects on the residents of Park House as well, please?
Yes, thank you, Chairman. So in terms of safeguarding, obviously, in common with colleagues across the country, we are worried and we are seeing a reduction in referrals. We don't have high numbers on Scilly, but we have got a reduction in referrals because we do know that the national message is really strong, which is about making sure that people do not put unnecessary pressure on statutory agencies. So we are seeing that people are not presenting to usual agencies in the usual way for help, and that's, of course, health and care and safeguarding. And I understand why people have done that, but however, what we're really worried about is that things are going under the radar. And as you all know, for some of our most vulnerable people, home is probably the most dangerous place for you to be. So issues around domestic abuse, neglect, sexual abuse, financial abuse, all those things are carrying on, and we have no visibility of many people to services. So families, children aren't at school, people aren't out and about. And all of those issues are going to be exacerbated by poverty. And we know people who are just about managing in the normal run have increased vulnerability because they do not have access to money. So we are worried about that, and it would be foolhardy not to be. And I think all of our colleagues are worried about what's not actually coming to us. So all we can do is mitigate that risk. So one of the things we've done is we are in contact across children and adults with absolutely everybody we can think of that might appreciate some additional support. So we've kind of got lists of people that we're contacting. We've obviously harnessed Healthwatch Isles of Scilly, who've been fantastic to coordinate volunteer support so that people can make requests for help and have their needs met by all the great people of Scilly who want to help. We've done lots of communications across the piece, so that's communications between agencies and with the community. And we've also reminded council staff of their duty of care to refer anything they're worried about. And I will thank those members who've been worried themselves about neighbours and whether they're okay. And we've followed all of that up. Obviously, Park House is one of our greatest areas of risk in line with the rest of the country. Care homes are a hugely risky environment in terms of having people who are incredibly medically vulnerable, as well as staff coming in and out. So we have put in a range of mitigations, which I outlined to you in more detail yesterday, and might therefore be included in the minutes so that there's a matter of public record. We are obviously following government guidance, and then I've highlighted some key points which relate to our local sort of delivery of those guidances. And obviously the key thing is that we are seeing our staff yet again in adult social care being everyday heroes. It is a high-risk environment, and we have thought about absolutely everything, both to protect our staff and our residents. And we do think about the impact of these measures on families and residents of Park House, because obviously one of the key things we have to do is stop visiting. So every contingency is in place, and there's been some extraordinary work, but we cannot deny the fact that, care is one of the highest risk areas in the country.
Thank you. Councillor Mumford, please.
Thank you, Chairman. First of all, I'd like to thank all the senior managers and all the staff of the council for all their hard work. And I agree with everybody. The communications has been really good. I'm also very pleased to have got a message from Nicola to say that Dr. Pickin is actually included in the emergency planning and the recovery programme. I'd just like to ask Aisling, as it's a lot in the news at the moment, have we got plenty of PPE, personal protection equipment?
So plenty is an interesting word, Chairman. So we have invested significant resource in coordinating PPE supplies across the piece, and that's the core focus of our logistics planner from the Royal Navy. You'll remember that we actually put in quite a lot of mitigation around Brexit time. So we do have good stocks of PPE, but as Paul mentioned earlier, guidance changes. So you may think that you have what you need, but then there's new specification in what's required and new guidance about how you interact with various kind of levels of infection. So we monitor PPE on a daily basis. Currently, Scilly is in a very strong position compared to other areas of the country, and that's to do with a huge concerted effort. But we look at that all the time, and obviously that will be affected by the latest data that comes through from public health But at the moment, we are at green and amber for the next 60 days. 90 days is a bit more uncertain, as would be expected.
Thank you very much. That's all. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Councillor Nellams.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, my question is linked to paragraph 12 and supporting businesses with advice. There was a note from Derek Thomas that says that obviously at some point there's going to be government-led discussion on balancing health protection and business viability to get everybody back in to normality. My question, though, is although we think Scilly is virus-free, to check this at some point, will there need to be testing? Is there going to be testing? And do we know sort of how and when this might take place?
And Nicola, would you like to come back on that, please?
Chairman, I think the answer at the moment is we don't know the answers to any of these questions. What we do know is that the government are saying there are 5 factors will determine when lockdown is going to be lifted. And that will include the ability of the NHS to cope. They'd also be looking at a sustained and consistent fall in death rates, reliable data from the medical experts showing the rate of infections decreasing. Then there's the range of operational challenges, which I think is the big test for us. So that includes the testing capacity and the PPE. And I think, and then the confidence about there not being a second peak. And I think we don't know the answers. We don't know the answers to how the recovery stage will play out. We know what the risks are. So all we can do at the moment is keep logging the risks and the issues and look at what others are doing. We're also asking questions about what Shetland are doing or others, just so that we start to prepare ourselves. But it won't be easy. The lockdown was the easy bit. Unlocking is going to be the more challenging bit. So it might be that there are measures that come in, then we have to lift them, then we have to strengthen them, then we have to lift, because we are in a very strong position and a weak position by being on an island. So it will be difficult, and Paul's going to lead that recovery cell, and it will be a difficult balance between protecting the health of the residents and visitors who come to the islands, and the need to enable the economy to function. So nobody knows the answer right now, but we will be guided by government guidance, and we'll be feeding up our information as well, so we can monitor cases and what the impact of measures have been on the island's vulnerability. I don't know if Paul wants to come in as well.
Paul, would you like to add anything, please?
Certainly, Chairman. I think just for members, I know certainly everybody wants to have a conversation about recovery, and we certainly will have lots of conversations about recovery. But as Nicola said, this is not, and just to give members some comfort, I also have tried to keep logged into both Cornwall-wide, regional and national conversations on recovery, and none of the detail, none of whether testing will be carried out, community testing being carried out first, how travel will happen or won't happen. None of those decisions or options are being discussed yet in any detail, but I give you my cast iron guarantee that as soon as those conversations begin to happen, we will arrange conversations with all councillors in order that we can prepare the Isles of Scilly stance on those matters.
Thank you very much. Are you happy with that, Mike, or do you need to come
thank you.
back?
It was the other question, not so much a question. I was going to ask the same question that Councillor Marcus, his comments on Parkhouse and the team, and really Ashlyn answered all of that. And I just wanted also to thank Ashlyn and her team for something that is really quite difficult, but they're keeping on top of extremely well. So thank you for that. That's it.
Thank you, Councillor Nellams. Councillor Roger.
No, just echo Councillor Mumford's thanks to everybody. And Paul and Nicola have just answered my main question, and obviously we'll have a very detailed handle on the recovery process when that comes. And I look forward to all being fully involved in that process to get that balance right. It's going to be very tricky, but I'm sure between us all we can try and get it right for Scilly.
Thank you. Councillor Sims, I'll leave you for a moment, as I'm aware that you want to make a proposal. So we'll just speak to the other three councillors, if you're happy with that, and then I'll
Absolutely
come
fine,
to you.
yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely fine.
Yeah. Councillor Smith, please.
Thank you, Chair. I endorse a lot of the comments said already, in particular those from Councillor Grottick, and looking forward to the proposal from Councillor Sims. I've got two questions. One is around council staff. So I think the response from council staff has been really impressive, and thank all of them for their response so far. I guess a question probably to Nicola or Aisling. What's the general state of council staff? Are they adjusting well, and do they have everything they need to operate safely and well?
So, Chairman, this is Nicola. As far as Aisling can answer as well, but as far as we're aware, and that through one-to-one discussions, through virtual team meetings, through our managers, we think everybody's coping as well as possible, and we have provided support through